Bryce Young is throwing the ball here, but it's hard to know where to. He has a slant route, a corner route, and a receiver breaking back into the flat. Before we figure out where the ball is going, there are a couple of important details to address. Firstly, it's 3rd and 8. Secondly, the Giants are blitzing. Dexter Lawrence, the Giants' defensive tackle, gets leverage against the Panthers' centre early in the play. The only thing that bought time for Young was his deep drop, but that deep drop extended his throw, and Young, who is widely criticised for his lack of arm strength, is throwing to the corner route downfield from the far hash. This is an arm talent throw. Young makes it look easy despite the defender bearing down on him. The slant route might have been an easier throw for the first down, but the corner route allowed Young to work away from the safety in the middle of the field. He threw his receiver to space. It's an aggressive decision, but a calculated one too. The New Orleans Saints are going to send a house on this play. Young won't have a hot route or even a short route to throw to. Only 2 of his receivers will actually release into routes, both of whom are running deep crossing routes. The Panthers are hoping they can execute a deep pick play so Young has a wide open receiver downfield after executing his play fake in the backfield. As you can see, that pick play didn't work. The defenders don't run into each other to take each other out. Young's eyes are on the safety. He is stepping forward to take away Xavier Legette. That forces Young to throw to David Moore, who hasn't created any separation and has the defender playing trail technique beneath him. Young had time at the top of his drop, but the unblocked safety means he has no other option besides throwing to Moore. He unleashes a perfectly thrown deep ball to his receiver. Young clears the defensive back and drops the ball onto Moore's head so he can catch it cleanly while continuing upfield towards the end zone. But the veteran receiver is weak at the catch point. He allows the defender to strip the ball away from him for the incompletion. Moving on from Jonathan Mingo, as well as adding Jalen Coker and Xavier Legette, has dramatically improved the Panthers' receiving core. Young now has competent receivers who can actually get open and run routes, but drops are still a big issue. Here's another one, this time down the left sideline to Legette. Like many teams, the Kansas City Chiefs are daring the Panthers to throw deep on this 2nd and 8. All 11 defenders are within 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. Legette does a good job of releasing into his route, so he gets level with the cornerback outside early in the play. He's guaranteed a one-on-one matchup here because of the defense's alignment at the snap. That gives Young a corridor to drop the ball into. Young saw the opportunity straight away and his offensive line gave him the initial space he needed to set up the throw. He took advantage of it by throwing an inch-perfect ball to Legette. The rookie receiver attempts to body catch it, allowing it to slide off his chest to fall incomplete. Young might not have the howitzer arm that other quarterbacks do, but he's more than just a capable deep ball passer when given a fair opportunity. Legette dropped a potential game-winning touchdown from Young down the field this past weekend against the Philadelphia Eagles. To be fair to him, it was a more difficult play this time around. Legette runs a poorly defined post route from outside the numbers on the wide side of the field. The Eagles are in a cover 0 blitz. As the play develops, the running back stays into block, so the defender responsible for him steps forward to float over the middle instead of covering him. Young's only option now is to throw deep. Because of his ability to throw before the receiver comes open, Young is able to get the ball out in time. But as he's releasing the ball, Legette is being slowed by the cornerback. That hurts the timing of the throw. Young throws a ball that Legette should be able to run through without breaking stride. From the end zone angle, we instead see that Legette has to dive forward to try and get beneath the ball as it arrives. That was because of the cornerback disrupting his timing. Legette loses the ball for a moment while his body is on the ground, causing the incompletion. Going back to the Chiefs game, here the defense shows another aggressive look on 2nd and 10. It's a single high safety with man coverage outside and defenders dropping into zones over the middle. Young takes a short drop this time but has nowhere to go with the ball early in the play. Critically, this time the Chiefs are going to get pressure on him in the pocket with just their 4-man rush. The right side of the Panthers line collapses, forcing him to escape into the left flat, and the Chiefs pass rush does a great job of pursuing him. While all that is happening, Miles Sanders has turned his dig route into a double move to get in behind the cornerback down the left sideline. Young is off his feet and moving backwards as he lets the ball go, but he puts the ball in the spot where his receiver has all the leverage at the catch point. You again see outstanding precision and touch from the quarterback with pressure in his face. The arm talent isn't bad either. It's easy to forget that arm strength is a threshold. You need enough of it. It can be helpful to have a lot of it, but it also reaches a point where the excess offers negligible returns. A quarterback with enough arm talent who plays with great intelligence, timing, touch and accuracy will be a great NFL quarterback. This comeback route against the Buccaneers showcases Young as that type of quarterback. The Buccaneers shift their coverage after showing a quarter's look before the snap. The linebacker blitzes, the edge rusher drops, and the safety steps into an underneath zone, so it's cover 3. Young looked to the middle of the field but saw the safety coming forward, so immediately turned his eyes outside. He's beginning his throwing motion at this point. That's critical for beating the blitzing linebacker who his running back failed to pick up. But on the outside, the cornerback has a good position and his eyes are on Young. That's not a problem for the quarterback. Young is going to use the fact that the cornerback is focused on him and the wide receiver is running into his blind spot. By releasing the ball at this time, the defender still has to defend the ball over the top towards the end zone. That buys a tiny window window for Moore when he turns outside towards the sideline. Young did everything he possibly could to create an opportunity for Moore, but the receiver couldn't make the play at the catch point. It's not an easy catch, but it's also a play that a better receiver than Moore would expect to make. It's not exactly the same difficulty as the sideline play that Puka Nacua made at the weekend. Young is a very technically gifted passer. He understands how to attack coverages as well as any of his peers. This time it's 2nd and 11 against the Giants. The Panthers have a simple play call with a flat slant combination on the near side of the field to the top of the screen. Young holds the linebacker with his eyes in the middle of the field during his drop back before snapping to his right instantly at the top of his drop. He's doing that purposely to create the throwing window past the linebacker's left shoulder. Despite his receiver being slowed up by the other cornerback, Young slots the ball into the tiny window for the first down completion. The end zone angle gives us a clearer view of how Young held the linebacker before quickly transitioning to make the throw. You rarely get a wide open throw for a first down on 3rd and 13. The Eagles sit back in coverage behind a 4-man rush here. It's cover 3, but the cornerback to the top of the screen is going to cheat down inside with the safety on Adam Thielen's deep curl route. With Thielen double teamed, the correct decision here is to throw to the wheel route. But since this is the Panthers offense and not the Lions offense, the receiver running the wheel route can't win. Young's only option for a first down is Thielen. Despite the double team and the linebacker covering across to tighten the window, Young hits a window that is barely bigger than the ball itself to gain 14 yards and a first down. Thielen showed off great quickness, toughness and intelligence to work back through the catch point so the ball was protected. This is another 3rd and long against the Saints. 3rd and 10 this time. Young has a post route running from the slot with a dig route breaking underneath it to attack the middle of the field. The defense drops defenders into coverage underneath with a single high safety and man coverage outside. Just like the first play in this video, we again reach a point in the play where Young is starting his throwing motion and it's hard to determine where he's actually throwing the ball to. During his drop back and as he settled in the pocket, Young checked the middle of the field to see the linebacker reading his eyes and the safety turning to run upfield with the post route. That safety is taking himself out of the equation. Young's eyes are outside. They're going to encourage the linebacker to vacate the middle of the field. So even though the spot Young is throwing to is crowded when he starts his throwing motion, it's going to be wide open when the ball actually arrives there. The linebacker can only desperately reach back as the ball glides past him, into the chest of Leggett for 20 plus yards on 3rd and 10. Young didn't hit Leggett in stride. He could have held the ball and waited a moment longer to make a more accurate throw, but that would have invited the deep safety to hit him at the catch point. On 3rd and 10, you don't get the luxury of waiting to see receivers come open when you're trying to get first downs. Young being proactive opened that window up for the offense. Here's another 3rd and 10 where Young uses his understanding of leverage and ball placement to create a first down. The Chiefs are threatening to blitz with their linebackers, but they will drop into cover 2 at the snap. On the near side of the field, Young has a high-low route combination to work with. Young's eyes open right, but quickly work across the field. By the time he looks to his left, the linebacker has turned his back to the middle of the field and is sprinting towards Leggett. The cornerback outside is out of the equation, leaving David Moore working essentially one-on-one with the safety. The safety has a deeper alignment but is also shaded to the inside. He's in the perfect position to break on Moore's route. To counter this, Young purposely throws to his receiver's back shoulder instead of putting the ball in front of him. It leads Moore away from the full force of the arriving safety's hit, protecting the catch point by putting Moore's full body between the ball and the defender. There's no opportunity for the safety to knock this ball away with his hands. Young's intelligence has manifested itself most often against the Blitz over recent weeks. The Buccaneers are sending the house on 3rd and 5. It's cover 0, so there are 7 blitzers coming against only 6 pass protectors. The top of the screen is where his solutions are. The shallow dig route is the easier play, but it's lower percentage because the ball is more likely to be tipped at the line of scrimmage. That leaves a slower developing out route to Adam Thielen. Despite knowing that he's going to be hit, Young executes his drop back as if there was no pressure at all. This is to maintain the timing of his drop back with Thielen's route. He doesn't rush the ball out or abandon his mechanics because of the pressure. When Young is in his throwing motion, Thielen is still 2 steps away from entering the break of his route. The anticipation from the quarterback here allows him to beat the blitz, but it also opens the window for his receiver. The end zone angle shows us that Young plants his feet and delivers the ball from an upright stance. He doesn't flinch. The only negative for Young here is that his throw is too far inside, so Thielen has to make a spectacular one-handed catch to bring the ball in. Not to worry, Young made the same play against the Chiefs and against the Eagles, but on those occasions he threw perfect balls. It's 4th and 7. The Eagles are sending a cover 1 blitz after Young this time. Thielen has moved 1 spot inside to the inside slot this time, giving him more space outside to the wide side of the field. The stem of Thielen's route is extended to reach beyond the first down line. That means Young has to hold the ball for a moment at the top of his drop. He still releases the ball before his receiver comes out of his break, throwing to the open space by the sideline. The end zone angle shows how 2 defenders are on top of Young as he's releasing the ball. The whole pocket is collapsing back into him, but his eyes stay downfield. He gets hit high and low after the ball leaves his hand, but still throws a perfect ball to Thielen for the first down. The Chiefs play comes on another 4th down. This time it's 4th and 3, so it's a little bit shorter. When Young begins his throwing motion at the top of his drop, Thielen has stopped his feet as he wrestles with the cornerback's aggressive coverage. The timing of the quarterback and the receiver has been disrupted successfully by the defense. The end zone angle gives us a clearer look at the pressure that was arriving to Young before he delivered a strike to Thielen to negate it. Teams have been blitzing Young a lot in the hopes that he would wilt or hesitate. The Chiefs use another cover 0 blitz here on 3rd and 7. It's successful since the Chiefs get a backside rusher unblocked, but the Panthers gave Young enough time to hit the top of his drop and set up the throw. His eyes never wavered from his receivers downfield. Moore was running an out route against a safety and off-man coverage from the inside slot. Young just needed to give him enough time to close the space, then turn outside before hitting him in stride for the first down. He again didn't wait to see his receiver come out of the break of his route before throwing the ball. You're not always going to be able to throw a perfect ball against heavy pressure. It's often about understanding the leverage spots and getting the ball there in good time. That's what you see Young do here when the Saints get a free blitzer through the middle of the offensive line. He has no time to set up properly. He can only make a quick decision. He knows the defense is playing man coverage, and he knows his wheel route from the slot is the best opportunity for a first down to beat it. The end zone angle shows us that Young pump faked during his drop back. He was always looking to set up his wheel route, and he would have been able to lead his receiver down the sideline if the pass protection had held up. Instead, he makes sure to put the ball high and outside, playing to the leverage of his receiver and assuring himself that the ball won't be picked off. Young has been cutting defenses apart from the top of his drop, but his movement has also been vital for this Panthers rejuvenated offense. On 1st and 10, the Panthers look to bootleg Young into the left flat. The Giants' backside defensive end stays home. Young's eyes are on his first read outside, but that receiver is covered. His second option further upfield is also covered, while his backside crossing route is bouncing between two defenders. The end zone angle reveals a key detail on this play. Young has whipped his head around fully while still facing the wrong direction. He has an early look at what he's turning around to, so he knew early that the backside defender would be there. Young does a great job of stopping his momentum, resetting his feet, and finding an angle to connect with his third option to get close to a first down. His dexterity was on full show to make this play work. Ike McConwu is the Panthers' starting left tackle. He has never really developed into a quality starter, and he's going to give up pressure here when Young hits the top of his drop. Ikonwu is beaten around the edge, so Young has the opportunity to step forward and cut off the angle. He does so at the perfect time to evade the sack. His eyes stayed downfield as he managed the pocket. That allowed him to maintain his timing with his receiver. The wider look shows us how Young is again using exceptional timing here. He is focused on two of his receivers who are running their routes right next to each other. The ball is leaving Young's hand at this stage. Moore is his intended receiver. He's running an out route but is caught up by the defenders and hasn't turned through his break yet. But Young can anticipate how the coverage will develop and knows what spot he's throwing to, so he hits his receiver for the first down regardless. Few things are scarier than the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line right now. Add in it being 3rd and long, the shadow of your own goalposts, and your offense in need of a scoring drive late in the 4th quarter, and this is not an enviable position for Bryce Young to be in. The Panthers are chasing a deep shot with vertical routes on both sides of the field, while the Eagles are dropping into cover 3. The Eagles' defensive ends come from a wide 9 alignment. They rush upfield in tandem to not only pressure Young off both edges, but contain him within the pocket. That's a problem because Young only has slow developing routes to throw to. He has to hold the ball here. Young does an amazing job of evading defenders in the end zone to buy time and escape the pressure, before making an incredible throw over two defenders for the huge gain and the first down. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a particularly difficult time containing Young. This is 3rd and 10. The Buccaneers drop two defenders from the narrow side of the field to overload the middle of the field in behind the blitz. Young looks directly at those defenders during his drop back. With the pressure coming off the edges, he could step up through the pocket to try and work the ball to Thielen, but his receiver over the middle is running into a crowd. Instead, he breaks the pocket to the right flat and makes a simply sublime throw down the right sideline to Tommy Tremble for the huge gain. This 3rd and 1 play is similar to the previous New York Giants example, but featuring a more impressive maneuver in the backfield. Young evades the unblocked edge rusher and gets the ball out before the second defender can get to him. Jonathan Brooks has the first down as soon as he catches the ball. Young's go-ahead touchdown at the end of the 4th quarter came about because of his precise footwork in the pocket. The right side of the Panthers line is losing from the start of the play. Young's eyes open left, but he quickly reacts by shifting his weight from the top of his drop onto his left foot, then back to his right, before stepping up through the middle of the pass rush. There's plenty of space for Young to take the easy yardage. The safe thing to do is to scramble forward for that gain, but he instead looks for his receiver downfield. The window to hit Thielen between the linebacker and safety is there. He makes a perfect throw on the move to his receiver for the touchdown. It wasn't the only touchdown that Young scored in that game thanks to his movement. The Panthers spread the field and the Buccaneers showed blitz before the snap. When the play begins, Young smartly looks for his hot route, a slant from the slot for Xavier Legette. But since the Buccaneers dropped out of their blitz look into zones, that route wasn't open. The receiver running down the opposite seam route looks wide open, but he's running towards the middle of the field, so it's a much more difficult throw than it actually appears to be. He would need to push that ball beyond the safety in the middle of the field to the back of the end zone without overthrowing his receiver. Young instead holds the ball, then quickly escapes the pocket through the running lane that develops develops to his left. He's too fast for the pursuing linebackers, allowing him to reach the pylon for the touchdown. You wouldn't call Young a dual-threat quarterback, but he's capable of taking advantage of opportunities when they appear in front of him. The Giants found that out the hard way too a month ago when Young read the blitzer to escape through the pocket before running away from the chasing defenders for 24 yards. Young didn't rush for a touchdown against the Giants, but his movement was critical for the Panthers' opening score of the game. The Giants are showing a 4-man rush prior to the snap. It looks like man coverage in behind, with 2 defenders undefined in the middle of the field. They might blitz, they might drop into zones, or they might pick someone up in man coverage. But when the ball is snapped, the right side defensive tackle drops into a zone over the middle. That frees up the safety behind him to move outside, creating a 3-on-2. Young looks to that area first, but quickly moves his eyes back inside at the top of his drop. He slips for a moment, but then steps up into the pocket, negating the edge rushers and drawing the defensive tackle forward, out of his zone. The wide angle shows us that not only has Young drawn the attention of the defensive tackle, but the defensive back on the opposite side has also turned his eyes to the backfield. So when Young redirects towards his side of the field, the defender is in no man's land between quarterback and receiver. Young wastes no time in tossing the ball to Miles Sanders for the touchdown. Young moves to create passing lanes and opportunities downfield more so than to scramble or break off big gains with his legs. That's why his eyes are always up to take advantage of those opportunities. This is a very confident and effective quarterback right now. He looks like a player who is worthy of being the first overall pick in the draft, and more importantly, he looks like a player the Panthers should never have benched.